Hi, everybody. Angel Arts here. No, I'm just kidding.
Hi! We have not actually prepared this at all, and you can really, really tell. We are going to be starting a series of vlogs to capture our out-of-character feelings, any random thoughts. Maybe we'll do some speculation for Angel Art's Dragon Age Season 2 campaign. You know us if you've seen the videos, and feel free, of course, to, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. So, guys, we're a couple sessions in already. Let's talk session 1. Thoughts? How do you feel that you have been introduced? How do you feel you are growing into your characters?
Well, I loved session 1.
Stories.
Yeah.
The origin stories were so good. So good.
Key.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the origins are a great idea, and I think there was already talk in the comments about this and why they're a great idea, largely because it gives the characters and the players an opportunity to let their personalities shine before they join the group dynamic. So I think that was really interesting. And we got to see, of course, little baby Hallie and Andrea.
Yeah.
That was like the highlight for me.
That was really, really cute.
Yeah.
It was really cute.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that. That was a really nice surprise. I'm glad that we had our pasts tied together. I think that's going to work out very nicely.
Whenever we finally figure it out.
You know, we're mostly there.
Yeah.
That must have been really interesting for you guys, because you wouldn't have thought about necessarily how Andrea was, say, at 5.
Right. Yeah. It certainly is going to give a better perspective for when and if they have that conversation, because we're gonna have to figure out. Okay, well, what was your favorite place to hang out? Yay! I mean, we hammered out the most important event, so that's good.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I had done a lot of thinking before we started playing about her childhood, because that was so big for her. But when it turned out that I knew Hallie, that it was like, okay, well, there's a shining moment in her childhood, and she had a friend, and that was really cool. But yeah, no, I don't know. I didn't expect it at all, and I was like, oh, she's so depressed because right now she's going through so much stuff, and then she met Hallie, and it was so sweet, and it was so cute. I really.
And then the DM took that from you.
Yeah. Well, it was inevitable. I was going to end up in a circle eventually anyway, so.
I think Kevin was trying to say something.
Yeah, please.
It was just, I really liked that whole scene where you guys were young. I thought it was a very different take, because I've played a lot of Pathfinder and such. I've done origin stories before, but none of them have taken them that far back. So that was kind of like a first for me, and it was very interesting to see. And you guys did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
I was trying to find opportunities to combine origin stories together, because there's 5 of you.
Yep.
And just to save time, if I had opportunities to have 2 people involved in an origin story act, I tried to take that opportunity. One of the things I also wanted to mention, that I sort of mentioned in the comments, besides the obvious things that you guys have already mentioned about origin stories, why I think that they're a good idea. One of the things in particular that I liked that you might not necessarily think about is that the origin stories allow us to explore how a character would behave without being influenced by a party, because I wanted to see how you guys behaved on your own. Because if I just threw you into a party from the very beginning, you don't have a chance to. We don't really get a chance to learn enough about how that character ticks because there's that whole, like, in Dragon Age, I guess, vocabulary, there's the whole approval rating. You know,
Yeah.
if somebody's watching you, if a party that you're going to be adventuring with at all times is watching your behavior or listening to what you're saying, you're gonna act differently. So that's one of the major valuable things that why I like to do origin stories as well, is because it allows you to really figure out, because sometimes as a player you don't even figure that out yourself. It's easier for you to really start fitting yourself into your character and figuring out how your character behaves when you're not impeded by a party watching you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it really brings to life the stuff that you've already kind of thought of in your head. So we'd all kind of devised NPCs and backstories, but the reality of how that works and how that meshes and what that means for that character isn't clearly defined if you're just thrown into a party. So
Yeah.
for Theo, I really liked the scene that he got with Jannar because that established the kind of friendship that they had. And it gave them an opportunity to talk as well, very very openly, because they could have died.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very good scene that you played there, Hannah. Yeah, I'll chime in. I love doing, session zeros, origin stories, pre-games, whatever you like to call them. I love that it gives you a baseline. So, yeah, you are learning the intricacies of your character, but at the same time, it's kind of a good cyclical kind of, here's where your base is, so you're always going to know you started off like this, so when this happens you always have that one moment to return to know, okay, well, here's where I've started. It's really good.
It's a great way to help you define your relationships with key NPCs, because you could say, for example, in Maximilian's case, you could say, I have this best friend, his name is Plim, and if I, again, throw you all in the party together, you don't have the time to establish, well, what is that friendship like? Like, how do I talk to Plim? How do I interact with him? Are we sarcastic with each other? Are we warm with each other? Do we tease each other? It gives you a chance to define what these people that are in your narrative, NPC-wise, are like. And that's a very good point that Rachel made.
Was there anything, Hark, that you found particularly interesting about how they ended up playing out? Because I know you planned them.
I was very shocked, especially now that we've done the many sessions that we have, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I actually was really surprised by the chemistry between Cedric and Hugh. I didn't see that coming, because I didn't think, I figured that eventually Cedric and Hugh would probably have some sort of a rapport with each other, but I didn't realize how protective they became of each other. And again, without giving any spoilers, it makes sense now because of the warm-up question that I just asked you guys for session 4. Yep. It made sense. And me as a DM had no clue that was a thing. But and that's what's really, really neat, is that 4 sessions later you discover, okay, that's kind of why those two kind of clicked and why they ended up being as close as they are now. So
yeah, as a player, a lot of people here, like especially Kimberly and Hannah and you, Hark, know that when I write character sheets, I am just a huge minimalist. Because I can't get into the mind of my character before I play them. And so even when I wrote Cedric's character, I didn't know his opinion on Tranquil. Like, I knew that he was going to be a different Templar, but I didn't know like his specific standpoint until I really started to play him, and I was thrown into that situation, and I was like, this is how he'll do it.
I think the other reason why I was surprised is because when you had submitted to me your NPCs, when you submitted to me your, what's his name again? Thomas. When you submitted me Thomas, for example, and you described him, and Hugh wasn't one of your NPCs. Hugh was just an NPC that I made up on my own. And Hugh was one of those NPCs I could have given to anyone.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to figure out who I would give it to. And I just ended up deciding to give it to you for reasons that you haven't discovered yet. So you might have
so much.
you might have discovered it this session, but you made some different decisions.
Yep.
So there were a bunch of things that I was ready to reveal this session, but we're gonna have to wait.
Oh.
But
I knew it. I was like,
Darn it.
That's okay.
no, but that means other things. Actually, the way you chose what you did for session 4 opens up other things that you would have had to wait later if you didn't do that. So there's different things that you get from based on your decisions. But my point I was trying to make was I was unsure, but I thought that Cedric would have taken longer for him to go against Thomas. Like, I kind of felt that your friendship was in such a way that I didn't necessarily see Cedric reaching out to Hugh the way he did in the bar, because Thomas was actually, this is just something, had you not approached Hugh, Thomas would have done something to Hugh had you not intervened. But because you intervened, he's like, all right, well, I'm not going to do what I was going to do. So things played out a lot differently than from what I thought.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else kind of felt that, but I was actually personally surprised by that as well, the way that particular scene played out, that Cedric kind of went to... Because just from what I knew about your character concept, I didn't know that he'd go straight to jumping in to help Tranquil.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't something I anticipated either.
Thomas was totally going to mess with you. Like, that was something he totally was going to do. And Cedric intervened early enough that it wouldn't make sense for Thomas to do that. So instead, he had that speech with Cedric about, making sure that it's important you let the mages know that who the superiors are. So.
Yeah.
I loved that scene. I just fell right in love with Cedric's character then. I was like, oh, he's so good.
A lot of people did.
I was like, he's such a paragon. I love it. And as soon as the word brandy came out of Thomas's mouth, I'm like, oh, he's the bad guy. I hate him.
I internally cringed when you said brandy. I was like, oh no. But I was really torn with that whole scene with the other mage and the attempted rape kind of thing. Cedric, the reason he paused for a very long time, he let a lot of stuff go, and that was his inner conflict, because he knew that Thomas was his friend.
Yeah.
And so he was having an inner conflict, and he was like, I don't know how I should act in this, because it's the right thing, but he's
right. How loyal were you?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, if you had acted in a different way, and if you backed up Thomas, then that would have played out completely differently.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
I wonder, and if you can't say this for story reasons, Hark, that's totally cool.
Mm-hmm.
If he had backed up Thomas, would he still have found himself on that ship, I wonder?
If he backed up Thomas, he still would have found... I think that Cedric still would have found himself on the ship, but instead of Hugh discovering Cedric on that ship, it would have been Thomas.
Oh.
So you would have had a completely different NPC
Whoa.
following you at that point altogether.
That's awesome.
Which
Wow.
means
I love that.
which means you would probably... I probably would still include Hugh in the story, but you would have gotten Hugh a lot later in the storyline.
So glad you did that way.
Yeah, you would have ended up with Thomas instead of Hugh.
Yeah, no, we don't want Thomas.
If I had Thomas in my party, I don't know what I'd do.
He accidentally ran into my knife 10 times.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So your choices matter. Your choices matter. So because I figured
That's awesome.
it's all in if it seemed like Cedric really felt that Thomas's friendship was that important, if he really did have that kind of rapport with Thomas, if they had that kind of chemistry, then I would have kept him along for the ride. But because Cedric instead seemed to resonate more and had chemistry with Hugh, I was like, all right, I'm putting Hugh in here instead. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Just for
Interesting
future
stuff.
information, Cedric will always side with like the good and not the rapist. Like you can keep putting him in that situation, but I don't think his opinion will change.
Well, I started off with a relatively morally gray situation. I put Cedric in a morally gray situation with, like, in the bar first. Because that's more like, okay, the bartender can hire whoever she wants. And yeah, she was kind of nasty to the Tranquil, but whatever. And then, in order to set up the possible betrayal, because Thomas would not have betrayed Cedric if Cedric backed him up, then I had to see just how deep down the rabbit hole Cedric was willing to go for the loyalty of his friend. How loyal was he actually? So, and the funny thing is, Hugh is extremely loyal, but in completely different for a different completely reason from Thomas. So,
Key.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Sweet.
Yeah. What about Kenna? Kenna's was awesome.
oh, I love Kenneth.
Yeah.
Kenna's
Oh
my
my
favorite
gosh, my
already.
brothers.
There was so much chemistry between you and your brothers. Like,
I loved
that
it.
just meshed so well. Like, instantly. You were so natural. You were such a natural RPer.
Mm-hmm.
What?
You really were. Like,
Yeah.
like you couldn't tell that you hadn't known these
Yeah.
people all your life. It was very, very clear.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kenna had already written out for Kenna's origin stories. She had written out in her background that her clan got attacked and she got separated from her brothers. She doesn't know what happened to her brothers, and her mother ended up the way that she did. I think she actually wrote all that, but I wanted to make sure that Sam felt that gravity, and so I had to put her in the situation before the tragedy struck, so I could establish this is what she's like with her family, this is how happy she was, so that when I finally crush it, she can get into character. I have to force you into these extreme situations, because that's how you start caring about your characters and they start feeling like real people.
Yeah.
Is setting it up and then knocking you down. And that's the reason why I do it out of love. I crush your hopes and dreams and your family out of love.
Yes.
I definitely choked up when Sam gave that speech, and then Hark, you were like, and then the next day the blight happened, and I was like, oh god, no.
Yeah.
God.
Kenna.
Key.
It's crazy. I knew it was coming, and I still was like completely destroyed by it.
It's different
That's fine, man.
it's totally different. The difference between writing it and then experiencing it.
Yeah.
It's totally.
I was
totally
not
different.
prepared for that.
Absolutely.
A lot of people loves Kenna's character in general. The accent and the Avarian background. There's a lot of people in the comments section who are huge Kenna fans.
Aw,
So-
thanks, guys. I love you too.
Oh,
Key.
goodness.
I think one of my favorite lines, I'm pretty sure, is that the bolt of justice.
Oh my
I
god.
still quote that to this day.
Yes.
Like every time Kimberly does magic or something,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
with Sissy, I'm like, bolt
You
of
want the
justice.
It's Bolt of Judgment, I think it was.
Judgment. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's a little
That
scary.
was just.
Justice.
I was like, yes.
Oh man,
Key.
There was a really good hyped up gladiator situation there.
There's nice.
I don't. I was so torn throughout that whole part,
Mhm.
and I didn't know how to deal with it at all.
Yeah.
I was like I can't just let her die. So I do something.
Yeah. I was fine. I was like, hung out with my buddy in a wall, sold a good potion, met a possible future king. Oh, I am with drama free. I was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, yours was tamer than everyone else's.
You had a lot of people too.
But that's the thing. You know, I showed my friend it, and he was kind of like, oh, but they got really dramatic stuff, and you didn't. I was like, yeah, but I still met some important NPCs, and I felt like it was a good foundation for Theo because his drama's already happened. Like, that's not really that wouldn't have really fit where I wanted to take the character anyway, because he's been on his own for so long and just business as usual, really. So it suited.
Or the drama is being saved for later.
Well, yeah.
Like maybe next session. Oh.
Maybe next session. If that wasn't obvious.
Now that I know what I know from a future session, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was your plan.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, thank you for the poison.
Yeah, although I did have that moment of, oh god, she's gonna use that poison. I made that.
Yeah, if Theoben refused to make the poison for whatever reason for Cain, then things would have played out a lot differently when Cain went to go see Andrea. So again, I try to make not only the origin stories, separate, but I try to connect them so that's another reason why I divided up into 3 separate acts, so that things that happen in the previous act can affect what happens in the next act.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I mean, while the poison is very strong and beyond what Theo would normally make, it still suited his character to make it because he's still a businessman, he's still a merchant, and you couldn't do what he's done for so many years if you didn't have a detachment from the products that you're making.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
He was probably like, what are the odds I'll ever run into this problem again?
Exactly. He doesn't tend to run into kind of his, once they leave the shop, that's what they do as their business, so.
Little does he know it's right here.
Yeah, I guess I gotta prepare for how Theo might react.
You're still not going to be prepared.
No. Because he's never had that experience of it comes right back to bite him.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that Hallie was at the ball.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
That was really cool.
Yeah, I liked that a lot, and I was really nervous about talking to a canon character already because I don't want things to get wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least as far as, well, this has already happened on camera in season 1. We can't really backsee it.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I think that Hark, is that why you had her talk to the NPC you had her talk to?
You're talking about Sanaya?
Yeah, because she's not around anymore.
Yes, a lot of it is because she didn't have enough screen time, and I wanted to. One of the main reasons why she didn't have enough screen time, but there's another reason why. But I'm not going to tell you what the reason is. There's another reason why.
I was suspecting that there was another reason why, and I'm not going to say it.
When you get to that point in the story, it'll be obvious what that reason was. So, but to go back to the ball, I guess I thought that nods to the first season was a smart thing to do because just to remind everybody, the viewers and the players, that your characters existed when all of the heroes of Thetis were doing their thing. And I wanted to make sure that you were involved in what was going on around the heroes of Thetis, and I thought that the ball was a perfect way to do that. Anything that I could do just to have you guys feel like this is a sequel to a previous story, and it feels like these previous heroes and NPCs are like passing the torch. It's a nice bridge to pass the torch to the next generation of heroes.
Yeah.
So.
And the nods to the fellow auditioners as well was a very nice touch.
Yes.
That was sweet.
You'll continue seeing those. So in session 1, I introduced 3, and you will continue seeing the rest of the finalists, at least nods to the rest of the finalists, just because I wanted to make sure that at minimum they were a part of that universe, because I think that their stories deserve to be included at least in that part of the universe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay, so with our session 0, which scene surprised you the most?
You're talking about session 0 or session 1?
Session 1, you mean?
Yes, I'm sorry, session 1.
What's session? Yeah, that's a good question. What would surprise you the most?
Anyone?
Like with our characters, or just like in general?
I thought he was asking.
The
Both,
scene,
either.
scene between Trina and Andrea, that surprised me the most. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I got blasted right out of character during that part, because when I got yelled at, I was like, I haven't been yelled at in years, so I am so sorry.
That was actually my all-time, that was for me the best, most surprising piece of role playing. I've heard Hark, I've heard him talk with passion and I've heard him react. I don't think I've ever heard him scream like that. And that was just like, wow! Just you could see the little hearts forming in my eyes right as that was happening. That was well played.
With Trina, it helps a lot because it's such a departure from her normal demeanor, because she's so soft-spoken.
Yeah.
Sure.
She's so
So
soft-spoken
sweet and
and
quiet.
so timid and sweet and quiet, and that, like, this is a girl who has been felt betrayed. I think deep down inside she understands why Andrea did it. But I think she was just so desperate, and in that desperation, she just had this anger that has just been pent up. And I had to get into that space to just let loose and just, because this is basically this girl who pretty much feels like she's lost everything. For her, a fate worse than death, which is why she was like, "Why didn't you just kill me?" Which is sad.
Yeah.
So that scene was definitely something that shook me up as well, and my heart broke for Trina because of that, because it was just a really, really lose-lose situation. It was a huge lose-lose situation.
I don't know if doing it again, I don't know if Andrea would do it any different. Because she has her life, and there is a possibility at freedom and all these other things still, and I think she'd still do it. It's just now she knows the consequences, and it hurt. It hurt a lot, but I feel like she'd still do it, 100%. Yeah. But yeah, that was a hard scene to do. That was really hard, and I was all upset about it for until my next scene, and then I was like, I'm not ready to go again.
Yeah, writing these acts are not easy, because I did not want to go easy on you. I wasn't going to pull any punches, because you guys have seen season 1. You know what you're getting yourselves into, and even though this was our first session, I was like, these are some really messed up situations that I'm throwing you in, and I was very excited, at least, just to see how your characters would handle them and react to the stuff that happened. And yeah, the whole Trina thing was a huge one that I was waiting to see what would happen. And it would have been totally different if Trina had died, which could have been a possibility. Trina could have just been killed.
Wow.
But I wonder if the feelings for killing her is necessarily worse than putting her in the situation that she is now.
My motivations would be really different.
Yeah.
Because at the end, I was given that quest, and I would have probably accepted it either way, but I might have been BSing if I might have been like, yeah, sure, I'll do that, and then I would have just pieced out.
But now there's that tether.
So now I feel like I still I've got a person that I could possibly save, so it was really hard. It was really hard. I don't know. I'm still stressing out about that.
Well, that's a good thing because that shows that you're in character. So.
Oh man. Oh, Trina.
Poor Trina.
Yeah. Yeah. I still have it in my head where she's like, "Oh, maybe I could find a hamster."
Oh my god.
That's what I remember from Trina.
Yes.
Oh god. I'm so bad. I'm a bad friend.
Were there any other scenes that surprised people the most?
When my mom got Michonne's.
But were we really surprised?
I think she knew it was coming. She just didn't know how.
Yeah, I was expecting that.
When it actually happened the way that it did. Yeah.
Sure. My surprise was more of well, my main surprise was Andrea, of course. But on a quiet and internal level, I had a surprise that the background that Hark and I had worked out, the scene that we played with one of my NPCs ended up being almost earlier in a timeline than I would have expected. So it leaves me, the player, with a lot of questions on, ooh, how can I work with this? I can't really say too much right now.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're a mystery.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mystery with Halasair, and unlike, obviously there's a mystery going on with all of you. Cedric, I think, is the one that's the most obvious. There's something going on with Cedric, especially as we progress through the first 4 sessions. But the thing is with Cedric is there's been a lot of hints sprinkled in. Halasair, specific things / decisions that you've made have prevented the hints, so they might come gradually later, or the floodgates might open and then boosh.
Yeah.
Like, here's all the Halasair stuff. So I'm curious to find out. That's why I love this story so much, is because you really do have free reign to go any which way you want to, and that dictates how the narrative flows and what pieces of information, like the mysteries behind each of your characters, how that gets presented and the order that it gets presented. And that's what I love about this story that you guys are weaving.
For me, I was like glued to the Halasair Lady Violet. So the queen. Afterwards I rewatched it and I was like taking notes, and I'm like, these are my player notes. Obviously, Andrea doesn't know any of this, but I want to know everything. So
oh yeah.
Yeah, and I trust me. At the end of every session, I'm just like, here, all my secrets. Take them. Isn't it cool?
There's a lot of Halasair that Rachel has written, but there's way more that she's not aware of.
Ooh.
And I guess I have to say that I actually have been dropping some subtle hints about Halasair, the mystery behind Halasair, but they're very subtle, and I'm hoping that when the big thing hits, you'll look back and say, "Oh, that's what Hark was doing."
Yeah.
So hopefully,
I have probably overanalyzed everything, so I've got my own spider web of maybe it's that. So I can't wait to see what I have not missed.
I'm an open book. I don't have any secrets.
Yes.
No, not at all.
No.
Certainly, we're not going to learn anything in the 5th session. Certainly.
What about once we met each other? Because
When
that
who
was when all of us converged.
Yeah, when all of you converged, yes.
Because that was really fun.
It was a great deal of fun, yes.
Yeah.
Did anything surprise you folks when we did that?
Yeah, when Hannah shot that arrow, it's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Screw that mirror.
Theo's arrow, but
Yeah.
I kind of fell in love with Kenna.
Oh, the
Yeah.
There's the entire ankle thing.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
That was cute.
He
Yeah.
ratted me out. I was like, damn.
That was my favorite right there. Damn it, you.
Well, I think we mentioned this in Skype, but several of us thought it was adorable, and I don't know if you intended it that way, Kevin, but we thought it was adorable when you said, "I can't get mad at you," like that.
Yeah,
we
that
found
was
that
very cute.
super
I
sweet.
intend that to mean that.
Yeah.
What did you
Have
say,
we-
Kevin?
I did not intend that to be an adorable thing. It was actually coming from Cedric, like within like a what you learned from the
From the Tranquil, about the
Yeah,
Tranquil. That's why you
about the-
couldn't be mad at him.
yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he just feels way
Aw.
too guilty.
Aw.
Before we jump to the meeting people thing, thanks, like viewers, for the fan art of the box.
Yeah.
The
box!
Yes, the box.
Kenna
That was
also,
great.
or Sam also did.
You
Oh,
did
yeah.
work.
Oh yeah, you did.
Did you
Well,
send that, Kenna?
I don't have my scanner with me in the move, so I can't.
Oh.
No.
I don't know if it will show up on the thing. Like I got it in my binder.
Oh, I can't see it very well.
Wait.
Oh wow! Okay, I see abs.
No,
I see
no.
abs.
Bring it down, bring it down.
Yeah, bring it down lower, lower.
Oh.
I love that. Oh, there's the crowbar. There's the crowbar.
Let's go on.
Oh. I'm sure you can find, maybe a friend of yours has a scanner that might help, because that would be really cool. I'd love to have a digital version of that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, thanks for all
For
the
completely
fan art. There's a
innocent
lot of really good stuff.
Yeah.
That was pretty. That was hot.
Need a little break now.
But I thought that was really cool. I was really excited about the birthmark thing, Hark, because that was
Yeah.
in my backstory.
The birthmark was not originally going to be a thing, but Andrea, or Kimberly rather, had it in her backstory that she had one, and then got me thinking, well, what if they all had one, but they were all in different places? And if you really think about it, there's a significance of where your birthmark is. There's a reason why they're in the location where they're at.
Yeah, we had that
So-
conversation.
Yeah.
What do you think it might be? I was thinking, right there.
I couldn't figure out why, but I love that I got it in the tramp stamp spot.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
gonna say.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Isn't that rather insulting? You just got it as a stamp stamp.
No. Andrea
Not that-
has been insulted
In
by
this
that.
universe, it's a term of endearment.
Yeah. Not that I'm complaining. Andrea and Theo got a great scene out of it.
They did.
Yeah.
I can't see it. Can you pull it down more lower?
Sure.
Andrea was just like, sure, drop and trout, whatever.
Yeah.
So since she hasn't been named yet in this session, the Tevinter woman who
Yeah.
appears, the Tevinter lady, that what was really tough with her is because I was trying to figure out who to introduce her to, because again, and I've talked about this before, I had intended her to be a possible NPC if you didn't outright kill her, and
It came pretty close, I think.
yeah, it came pretty
I think-
close.
I think we came pretty close to killing her.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But I think, there were very specific things about her personality, like her affinity towards cute and cuddly, fuzzy wuzzy animals, which I think helped humanize her more.
Yeah.
I almost didn't send her to Kenna because it would be obvious that Kenna, given her backstory, she has every reason to shoot at the darn thing without asking any questions. But it didn't fit for Razakale to meet Cedric. I didn't think that Halasair, that just didn't fit. It was possible that things would have gone well with Andrea, but just the way that everything was set up, that just didn't make enough sense. And then Theoben was a possibility, but again, I don't think Theoben would have had a very similar problem that Kenna had. And the tiebreaker was, I think Theoben is less sympathetic towards cute and cuddly fuzzy wuzzy animals, and Kenna might be more prone to that. So that's essentially why I ended up giving Kenna Razakale. And I could have introduced Razakale later in the story, But for a character like her that I think takes time for anyone to really trust her, you really need to introduce that character early on.
Yeah.
Which is why Hugh is a character that I figure you might be able to trust him earlier, which means it was possible that you wouldn't actually get Hugh into your party until much later in the narrative.
Yeah.
So.
It did allow, though, for her to go with Kenna to the fox scene, which I thought was just amazing.
Yes.
If it wasn't for that fox, I probably would have killed her.
Same.
Yeah.
Rowan was a bit